Continuing with the video from yesterday, I think it's important to go on with showing why the quantity theory of money is also not true. Now, although this theory is not Austrian, it actually comes from Milton Friedman, it is also incorrect, and a lot of Austrians do believe in it. Now, the basis of the theory is that if the money supply goes up, there is a corresponding rise in inflation, meaning that they both rise at exactly the same level, or at least relatively close. Now, this statement is absolutely untrue. Now, unfortunately for those who believe in it, the empirical data does not confirm this belief. The quantity theory of money is based on two propositions. First, in the long run, there is a proportionality between money growth and inflation, i.e., when money growth increases by X%, inflation also rises by X%. We subjected these statements to empirical tests using a sample which covers most countries in the world during the last 30 years. Our findings can be summarized as follows. First, when analyzing the full sample of countries, we find a strong positive relation between the long-run growth of money and inflation. However, this relation is not proportional. Our second finding is that this strong link between inflation and money growth is almost wholly due to the presence of high inflation or hyperinflation countries in the sample. The relation between inflation and money growth for low inflation countries, on average less than 10% per year over 30 years, is weak, if not absent. Already we see for the developed world with an inflation rate of less than 10%, meaning not in hyperinflation, there's absolutely no basis for this theory whatsoever. Now, despite that, it has continued to be highly believed. Now, when we look at countries with hyperinflation or high inflation, we do see a correlation. However, it does show that this correlation is not proportional, meaning the two things are not directly linked as the theory implies. In these high inflation areas, we see that inflation actually goes higher than the increase in the money supply. The reason for this is that when you have high inflation, this increases the velocity of money. The instability in the velocity of money goes against the theory because the theory presupposes a stable velocity of money. The study came to the same conclusion about the supply of money and inflation. Our results have some implications for the question regarding the use of money stock as an intermediate target in monetary policy. The European Central Bank bases a strategy on the view that inflation is always and everywhere a monetary phenomenon. This may be true for high inflation countries. Our results, however, indicate that there is no evidence for this statement in relatively low inflation environments. In these environments, money growth is not a useful signal of inflationary conditions because it is dominated by noise originating from the velocity shocks. It also follows that the use of the money stock as a guide for steering policies towards price stability is not likely to be useful for countries with a history of low inflation. There's actually much more that could be said for inflation. However, this video is limited to the generally held Austrian belief behind inflation. So we're just going to stick to that subject. As we can see, the basis for the quantity theory of money and inflation just isn't true. Just because the Fed prints more money doesn't mean inflation is going to happen. Because if this were true, the previous rounds of quantitative easing would have shot prices directly into the sky. Yet we have seen this has not happened. Thank you for watching. Please comment and rate the video. If you liked it, hit subscribe or check out some of these other great videos. If you wish, share it on social media. While you're at it, why don't you follow me on Twitter? And if you got time, go on over to the MRN bookstore and check out some of the latest books available.